welcome to the R&R Workshop End of Year Roundup. Oh, it's been a year, hasn't it? An entire calendar year. 52 weeks in a day, has it been? Okay, so I do tend to ramble on and I never know when to stop, so I've got a couple of little pointers. They were on a piece of paper. This is not the piece of paper I was looking for. Is it this piece of paper? No, it's completely gone. There's my piece of paper, right? Okay, so the first thing I wanted to do was to say thank you. Thank you to all my customers who keep me in business, who keep me from having to do a job that I am either not qualified for or that I hate or something like that. So thank you for being a friend, for keeping me afloat. And thank you for the opportunity to keep honing my skills and to keep you happy. Hopefully you are. Not everyone is. So I wanted to talk to you today about there are many different types of guitarists, but three that absolutely stand out to me. It's funny because it's like the ghosts of Christmas past, future, and present all visited me in the last week. I had one exceptionally precious customer, I had one very pragmatic customer, and I had one very cautious customer. So I think you've got two extremes, and then cautious, which is, you might say that's in the middle. It's not an extreme anyway. I don't know if it goes toward precious or whatever. But okay, so let me just try to lay it out. The precious guitar owner is someone who treats their instrument like it's a loved one or a pet, a mother, a father, they have this, in my opinion anyway, an unhealthy attachment to a guitar. I don't want to go into it much further than that. The pragmatic guitarist sees the guitar as a tool. And I had, again, these are three different customers that have visited me in the week. Just yesterday, in fact, I had a customer that I had set up an acoustic guitar for them. It was a little parlor guitar. And when he was playing it, I noticed he had quite a heavy stroke. And I could hear it, sort of clattering on the frets. And I was like, maybe I shouldn't have lowered the action to the point that I did. And he said, it's all right. Just got to play it a little quieter. That's all. So a very pragmatic approach. Some people are easily adaptable. Other people are unyielding in their, I want my guitar this way, and I can only do it this way, despite what the physics are, and all that. And then with, again, like I say, some unhealthy attachment, comparing it to some other thing. And then there's the cautious guitars, the guitarists who could sort of go either way, but they ask questions and they look online for answers. And so I was talking to a customer who was, I would call a cautious customer, and he was asking me about changing strings on a guitar. He had read somewhere that do you loosen one string at a time, put the new one on? Do you then do it? Do you change the strings one by one or all at once? Because he had heard that you don't want to change the tension on the neck too much. And I said, ignore it. Don't bother with stuff like that. The reason being is that the guitar is subject to environmental changes. Not exactly like you and I. It doesn't have a cardiovascular system. Doesn't have a cardiovascular system. It doesn't have lungs. Isn't that part of the same thing? It doesn't even have a brain. Neither do I. But it does react to the environment. So while you're busy trying to control everything, trying to keep this guitar as stable as it possibly can, don't touch it, don't even look at it, the elements are getting to it anyway. Now, what I would say is if you're going to change strings on a guitar, when you do change strings on a guitar, just wind them all down, cut them, get them off, and then, put them on whatever way you see fit. The reason I say wind them all down first is don't just cut them at full tension, because then the neck sort of goes, doink, you are kind of shocking it into a different state. Whereas if you just lower, wind the strings down, you're easing it into a new tension bracket, if you want to call it that. So it's fine. Seasonal changes are going to happen to your guitar anyway, and you are going to, at some stage, want to adjust the truss rod. I have said this before, without a good neck, you don't have a good guitar. It's just that simple. So you need, as a guitarist, to be able to adjust the truss rod, and we're going to get to that. So yeah, in recapping, I guess, about the three different types of guitarists, you've got you have the ones that just have that they can't be part of with the guitar. It's a part of them. If something changes on it, they're going to be really upset, or they're just not going to know how to deal with this. And it's a nightmare for people like me because I'm a pragmatic, guitar tech. I agree with the great Pete Townsend, who is widely quoted. I can't find a source, but I did just read in the New Yorker because I thought I had it in this book, but I don't have it in this book. I don't have a love affair with it. No, that's not what he said. Let me get back to you. No, he does say that. Apparently, he says, I don't have a love affair with the guitar. I don't polish it after every show. I play the fucking thing. And when I first read that quote millions of years ago, I was like, yes, that just makes sense to me. And I would also like to quote a Mr. Frank Zappa, who says, let's see, if ever there's an obscene noise to be made out of an instrument, it's going to come out of a guitar. Let's be realistic about this. The guitar can be the single most blasphemous device, a device on the face of the earth. That's why I like it. The disgusting stink of a too loud electric guitar. Now that's my idea of a good time. Does that sound like someone who's precious about their instrument? I don't think so. And by the way, it's in this book, the Guitar Handbook. I've had this for a million years. Haven't looked through it in ages, but I love that quote. I think it makes total sense. So that's my kind of my antidote, just call it an antidote to the precious guitars. Like, you just gotta fucking play the thing. And again, so sticking with this, because they're bugbear, the people who are so precious about their guitars. I get comments from them, on this lovely platform that we're sharing right now. And it's usually in the guise of like, oh, I can't believe he's doing that to that guitar. If my guitar tech did that, what are you gonna do? You're gonna write a strongly worded email? You're gonna blow up the shop? Yeah, well, some people on this planet, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the thing. But here's the question I have. Not directly. I don't answer. I don't give a shit. The question, the rhetorical question, if you want, I have for people like that is like, do you actually play your instrument, or do you just sit there and look at it, revere it like some golden idol coming down, like you're Moses coming with the 10 commandments and you're looking down on, I don't know, who with the golden idols and all the rest of it? Shut up! You just play the thing. Oh my God. Follow Pete's advice, follow Frank Zappa's advice. Make your sounds, make your noise. Take it, put a couple of dings in it, put a couple of scratches in it. Stop treating it like it doesn't, like a little tiny little baby. That's not what it is. Anyway, I am ranting the fuck on here. So yes, now about the more cautious guitarist. So I guess I'd be addressing the cautious guitarist here. Probably not the precious, but the cautious guitarist. So what he was asking me was about changing the strings and tension on the neck and all the rest of it. So I want to show you just a little bit about a truss rod thing. I've lost count of the number of people who say like, oh, I wouldn't touch the truss rod, no way. And like, you're crazy. It's there to be adjusted. And I'm just going to give you a primer, a truss rod 101. So here we go. The truss rod, the mighty, mighty truss rod. What do you do with yours? Are you au fait with using your truss rod? Using it? How does one use a truss rod? Adjusting the truss rod. Trust rod, I think we should say. So here's my own guitar. I have more than one. I don't have more than 5, I don't think. Like I say, I'm not even much of a collector. Not that big on, quite truthfully, I suppose I hate guitars, really. I think they're just really stupid. So yes, it's not a Fender. It says Fender. I think I bought it secondhand off a guy, and he said it's not a Fender. There's just a decal on it. I think it's a Mighty Mite neck, and then I don't know if it's an all parts body or what. Can you see it? No, you can't see it. I'm not even going to talk about it. Well, I'm going to talk about it, but I'm not going to show you it. So what we're interested in is the truss rod here. And okay, so what does a truss rod actually do? So you're looking at the neck, and it's made of wood. Wood can bend, and over time, with tension from the strings, it can bend and keep bending until a point where it says, "This is the shape I am now. You just have to love me." In which case you can't, because it's just unplayable and it's crap. So we have a metal rod. Like Mr. Waylon Smithers was going to get a metal rod in his back. Anyway, so we have a metal rod inside inside the neck, and its job is to help strengthen the neck. It's just a steel is it a steel rod? I don't know if it's like some composite from like, and it's made from like adamantium or something. Whatever. You can Google what a truss rod is made out of. But it is there as a support mechanism for inside the neck. And the beauty of the truss rod is it doesn't just support, you know, the neck. It's not just a structural support. It also changes the relief of the neck. I think a truss rod typically runs from about there to, don't quote me, maybe it can go, I suppose it goes all the way down the neck. And in acoustic sometimes, I mean, its effective range can be, you know, sort of, you know, the first 10, 12 frets, and then and after that, the neck is glued to the body and all that. But I suppose with electric, you get maybe a longer truss rod. Don't even quote me, because I'm not a guitar builder. I've never taken a neck apart to actually look inside. I'm a totally ignorant fool. But what I do know with a truss rod is it controls the neck's angle, really. And you can adjust this. You can totally adjust this. How do I know what my truss rod is doing? How do I know what my neck is doing? Okay, easiest thing. This works best if you have big hands. Like me, I have such big hands. If not, if you don't have big hands, oh God, just destroy the whole place. If you don't have massive hands, you can use a capo. I'm going to demonstrate something here. I've got my first finger on the first fret, and I've got my thumb on the last fret. And I'm going to go somewhere in the middle of the fingerboard here. And I'm going to look down on the string here. And the string is a natural kind of a straight edge, right? So by that, you can sort of see what your neck is doing. If your neck is dead straight, fine. If there's a little bit of space in between the fret and the bottom of the string there, that's fine. It's a little bit of relief. If there's a lot of space, you've got too much relief. Or if there's, you know, if all the frets are touching the string, it's possible that your neck is actually backbowed and your string is kind of following the contour of that bow. The capo. So if you don't have little, you know, if you only have little girly fingers, you can just you've got your capo on your first fret there. You can hold it down at the end, or even somewhere like around here, and then you can hear that. The fact that it's making a little noise suggests that there's a little bit of space between the string and the fret. And that's fine. I have this set the way I want to. Now, but I'm going to adjust it now because I can do that. I am a grown-ass man, and you are a grown-ass guitarist. And you can totally do this. So generally speaking, what you need is an Allen key. This is a Mighty Mite neck, and the Allen key that I need for it is a 4mm. It sounds so impressive, like I knew that, but before I started recording, I was like, what size was this again? So it's a 4mm for this guy. In a lot of Fenders, you have Fenders and you've got Squiers. Fenders Fender guitars anyway, basses off the top of my head, it's probably 3/16. So American Fenders, and actually most Fenders in general, as opposed to Squier, you're going to be looking at either a 3/16 inch Allen key or a 1/8. I think that's the right one. With Squiers, you're probably looking at 4mm. It's a rarity for guitars would be a 5mm, but they are there. I do see a lot of 5mm ones on acoustic guitars. Let's just stick with this guy. To be able to adjust the truss rod, you know, your Allen key might be between the strings and all that sort of. Make sure you've got some space to actually adjust it. But then you start adjusting it. Now, of course, you need to know a bit of a strategy. See, so here's me lifting the strings out of the way of the travel that my Allen key is going to go. I can go this way, I can go that way, all right? And look at me not panicking in the slightest because I don't really care. I can just get it to where I want to, and so can you. Now, if it's really super stiff and you're getting really nervous, bring it to a guitar tech maybe, because someone who's done it a lot, more times than you might just go, yank, it's fine, it's all good, because they know how much torque, you can put on a truss rod. I have never ever broken a truss rod, and sometimes I've had to really crank it to get, it's uncomfortable, but you have to do it sometimes, just to get it that last little bit where you want the neck to be a certain shape. And then, you sort of think, this might be it for this guitar. It's not, you're not going to crank it any more than that. You're going to get into like a truss rod rescue kit or something like that. It's a StewMac thing, Stuart McDonald, if you don't know what that is. So I digress. So if my guitar has too much relief in it, if the neck, we're looking at it like this, if it's got too much of that sort of concave shape. Then I tighten the truss rod, okay? So if I'm looking down on it like this way, I'm sort of going clockwise. If the neck is either dead straight, sometimes you want just a little bit of relief. If you can handle dead straight, that's fine. If you want to, if it's backbowed and you need to give it some relief, well then, generally speaking, you loosen it. So I'm going counterclockwise. I hope what I just said was clockwise the other way. Anyway, so lefty loosey, righty tighty, okay? And when we say that, we mean, the top of your Allen key. If you're going left, you're loosening it. If you're going right, you're tightening it. Now, if you are loosening it, you are adding relief. If you are tightening it, you are sending the neck, you're straightening it. Or in some cases, you can go to back bow with acoustics if the action's high enough at the saddle end of things. But generally speaking, we try to have, I always try to have as straight a neck as I can get with a little bit of relief, and it makes such a difference to the action. Now, what to expect when you do adjust the truss rod, especially if you've never done it, and you're taking that brave step to do it yourself, it might not be obvious what's actually happening, because the smallest little difference in the shape of the neck, you may not even be able to see it properly, but your hands will do it. So go in baby steps, a little bit of a tighten, and then don't just sit there looking at it. Pick up the guitar, play it. If it still doesn't feel right, do it a little more. If it starts if notes start to ground out, if the strings get too close to the fretboard, and try raising the action a little bit. These are things that you can actually do. If it's an acoustic, it's a slightly different story, because there's only so much that you can adjust yourself. But on most electrics, it's all there for the taking, except for doing the action at the nut. That usually requires some, a little bit of skill and talent. But the rest of it, grub screws, little screws for raising the saddles, the truss rod, and all that. You can do this. You should be able to set up your own guitar all the way you like, barring leveling frets and this and that. But you don't need very many tools, I don't think, to set up a guitar. So that's kind of it, really. It'd be very, very difficult to demonstrate, just how much of a difference this way makes, or how much of a difference that way makes. With the camera, you're not going to pick it up. I could throw some numbers at you, but every neck is going to be different. I don't even know those numbers now. But in terms of how much relief, let's just say that's roughly where the Allen key was. If it's not right, I'll adjust it later. But in terms of what amount of relief from going back to first fret and last fret, and then somewhere around the 8th or 9th fret, measuring to see what sort of distance that is, I'd say that's about 8 to 10 thousandths of an inch. You can convert that. That may not be for you. Every player is different. If you've got a heavy stroke, your strings are going to need that little bit more breathing space. If you've got a pretty light touch, or you don't mind a little bit of fret buzz, there's always a bit of fret buzz, don't worry about it. It's only when it gets bad that you need to worry. If you don't mind that, then you can probably have a nice straight neck. I think that's about it. Hopefully that was a lovely pep talk, and yeah. Ooh, wasn't that exciting? You can do it. You can. You just need the right tool and a little bit of, I don't know. You need hands. You already play guitar. You've got hands. You can do this. Where was I going to go? Probably fade out. I'm sure I had a great parting shot.